is the new CEO of Amazon? Earlier this month, billionaire tycoon Jeff Bezos announced he would step down as Amazon CEO after 3 decades of great success at the helm. His replacement, Andy Jassy, is very little known outside of tech business circles. Should you care? Yes, as this is no ordinary corporate makeover. When Jassy takes the reins of Bezos' $1.7 trillion juggernaut later this year, he'll instantly become one of the biggest private employers on the planet. A colossus of commerce, retail, Hollywood, and the future of the internet itself. So, join us now and we head up to the CEO's office in our finest suite and try to ask exactly who is Andy Jassy. Biography. Andrew R. Jassy was born on January 13th, 1968, into a Jewish family of Hungarian heritage. He grew up in Scarsdale, a wealthy city in the state of New York. His father was a well-paid senior partner at the Dewey Ballantine law firm in New York City. Always a brilliant young man, Jassy graduated with honors from Harvard College, where he said to have nurtured ambitions to become a sports commentator. Instead, after Harvard, Jassy went to work for Danbury Mint, a decidedly old-fashioned company specializing in collectibles and miniature cars. Disenchanted with the company after 5 years, he returned to Harvard Business School and studied for his MBA. The Monday after his final exam in 1997, the year he also married Lena Kaplan, Jassy took his next job at a small tech startup called Amazon. "I didn't know what my job or my title would be," he said later. This was after the entire dot-com boom and countless young up-and-comers like Jassy risked everything in this growing but unpredictable sector. During a romantic dinner, he convinced his new wife to move west to Seattle to see how things would go in his new company, Rise on Amazon. After a few years at Amazon, beware, spoiler alert, which survived the dot-com bubble, Jassy found himself in the enviable position of right-hand man of visionary founder Jeff Bezos at company meetings. And it was in this position that he attended a 2003 corporate party at the boss's Lake Washington home and ultimately secured his fate. Although Amazon emerged strong from the dot-com bubble, finally reporting an annual profit on revenue of more than $4 billion, there was discontent at the Lake House meeting. The increasingly conflicting teams across the company were unhappy with the fact that so much of their time and energy was wasted setting up server capacity and other virtual infrastructure in order to make their favorite projects take off. A better scalable in-house server management system was needed, and our guy, Jassy, was one of the first to recognize that any smart and user-friendly solution they prepared for Amazon itself could also be a profitable product to sell abroad. And he was right. Go to the present day and Amazon's web service, AWS, which represents just 13% of Amazon sales but a whopping 60% of all profits, now grosses a whopping $50 billion a year. Amazon Web Services, AWS. Amazon Web Services, which Andy Jassy has led from the beginning, is a cloud computing platform through which a surprising amount of web traffic circulates. Whenever you watch Netflix, BBC iPlayer, leave a comment on Yelp, complete a project on Slack, or play a match on Tinder, AWS is in action. The system is even the foundation of the CIA's computer systems. Since the global pandemic began a year ago, AUS has become even more powerful, providing the essential framework on which video chat giant Zoom depends. Even better, Amazon's web server even provided the crucial computing power that helped the modern biotech company develop its vaccine for COVID-19 in an extremely fast time. While it's by no means the best known wings of Amazon's vast empire, most people have never heard of it, and the Jassy's central role in helping AUS dominate cloud computing made him the logical choice for Bezos to choose as his heir. Why? Because cloud computing will only grow in importance in the coming years. Other tech giants also recognized this. In 2014, Microsoft promoted Satya Nadella, vice president in charge of its own cloud-based Azure program, to the top job following the retirement of former CEO Steve Ballmer. Incidentally, Ballmer, the Microsoft legend, allegedly chose a certain Andy Jassy for the top job at Microsoft, which was politely turned down by the current CEO of Amazon. Jassy in leadership. So what can we expect from Andy Jassy's leadership? As you might expect from one of his senior employees, Jassy eats, sleeps, and breathes Amazon's famous, lively corporate culture. And his speech is filled with ready-made sentences, drawn directly from the company's mission statements. For example, he favors teams in which employees demonstrate firmness, that is, who stand up to him. His number one criterion for good leadership, coded immortality in Amazon law, is be right and enough. Jassy is also fond of saying that there is no compression algorithm for the experience, which is an indirect way of saying that you need to work hard before reaching the top. Just as AWS made its dominance over the relatively backwards in the cloud, Google and Microsoft, it's at least in part because Amazon, as so often, was there first. Which is not to say that Andy Jassy's leadership style is all a cute corporate fairy tale. Widely regarded as a realistic, friendly boss, he's also very demanding and demands consistent excellence from his teams. Jassy's meetings are held in a conference room he likes to call the Chop, an obscure reference to the book The Charterhouse of Parma, a French novel he read in college. In the Chop, Jassy said to use a wheel of fortune to randomly pick any trembling underlings for him to interrogate intensely that day. But if he is happy with what he hears, he'll close the meeting at Chop with an adorably folksy, "Hurry up, let's make it happen." The future of Amazon. When Jassy finally ascends to the CEO chair, which is scheduled for the third quarter of 2021, he is likely to continue his predecessor's relentless expansionist mission, even if any expansion does not necessarily seem like a natural fit for Amazon. Many companies are only looking for businesses that are adjacent or that look like an extension of their current business, he said, which, by the way, is a completely rational strategy. But we pursue the business even though it has almost nothing to do with the other businesses Amazon is in. Well, he certainly managed to do that on AWS, turning an online bookstore into a supernaturally powerful web services giant. Whether he likes it or not, on the first day of his new role, Andy Jassy will also become a major figure on the political scene. He's already on record expressing his dissatisfaction with former President Donald J. Trump's leadership style and loudly tweeting his support for, among other causes, the Black Lives Matter movement. Jassy is likely to attract criticism from conservatives for his influential decision at one of these meetings. In fact, by deploying AWS's right-wing social media platform, Parler. Jassy reveals his role as an evangelist of Amazon's mission. For an idea, check out his keynote speeches from the annual AWS reInvent conference in Vegas, where By the way, he put AWS in the Guinness Book of Records by hosting the biggest chicken wing eating contest ever. Despite his unsizable fortune, estimated at just a meager $500 million, and the vast resources about to be at his disposal, he should follow Jeff Bezos' example and focus on customer experience at the expense of stock market value. You can feel 30% smarter when stocks are up 30%, because then you have to feel 30% dumber when stocks are down 30%. And generally, none of that is true, he says. And besides, this complete beef jerky lover, fan of Dave Matthews's band, who also owns the Seattle Kraken hockey franchise, will have plenty in his life to keep him busy. Not least, with a Democrat in the White House, likely antitrust investigations will fall on Amazon's sheer incomparable uniqueness. The rise of quantum computing also presents its own opportunities and challenges. In fact, Amazon is already hiring engineers to prepare for this once-in-a-generation paradigm shift. But Jassy won't forget his AWS roots, and with 96% of the $3.6 trillion global IT budget still estimated to be sourced by one cloud provider or another, there's still a lot to do beyond this project. This aspiring sportscaster and former Danbury Mint executive has always believed in reinvention and knows that reinvention is the only way Amazon will stay on top. When you wait to the brink of bankruptcy to reinvent yourself, he said, it's a craps game where you can be successful or not. You need to reinvent yourself when you're healthy. You need to reinvent yourself all the time. So, what do you think? Is Andy Jassy a good fit for the job? Is your experience with AWS enough to help you run the world's largest retailer? Share your opinion in the comments. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and share it with your friends. Bye bye.